That's hilarious. Those guys are fun, man. We got to write, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. I got to the write before they did, and we were just like sitting there chill. I'm a pretty chill dude. Like I'm, pretty reserved and stuff. So I'm just like sitting there, like me and Elisa Vanderheimer just chatting up, and these dudes like roll in like at 11 o'clock, just like riffing already. Like literally, they're just like a walking party when they walk into the room. Those dudes are fun as crap.
They're so sick. They remind me of like early FGL. I'm sure everyone says that in the best way. Like his drumming too. They're sick. They make me want to like jump off buildings.
We're taking this time to kind of stack our chips a little bit, write every song we can write, and pick the best ones and just come out of the gates swinging when they open.
Welcome to episode number 11 of the Hook Podcast, and this one is going to be special. We have
special edition,
and very special just as it is. Adam, Michael, After Midtown. It's the EP release special, and I cannot wait to dive into everything that you guys just put out. It's only been like 3 days. How are you guys feeling so far?
Cloud 9, man. It's awesome.
Like a slice of butter melting over a big old bowl of flapjacks.
You pretty much nailed it.
Can you elaborate? I'm not understanding that.
You've never seen Pineapple Express?
Wait, you live in Denver?
Maybe I saw it once. I don't know. I forgot. See, that's what happens when you live here. You forget stuff. When are you going to come out here?
We want to come out ASAP, man. When you going to invite us?
Soon.
How rude.
I know.
Soon.
Y'all are more than welcome to come out here anytime. And if you guys want to crash my wedding and play some Pop Punk songs, I'm not even going to be mad.
Do it.
Ooh,
I'm in it.
That sounds like we wanted to put together maybe like a wedding band on the side, like a parody thing, and name it the Alan Geiger Project. Alan Geiger is our tour manager, and we thought it'd be hilarious to just like pop up wedding band punk, pop punk covers.
Nice. I will fire my DJ today. I will fire my DJ right now.
And if that name's unacceptable, we do have a backup. Oh yeah, first of all, the backup name to the Alan Geiger Project is the 9 Inch Males.
I don't even know if we can leave that in the podcast. I love it though.
I don't see why you can't.
That's true.
I say leave it. We don't answer to anybody.
That is very true. I am so excited for you guys, seeing all the reception on social media. And I can say that KJ and I were lucky enough to get the link to the EP, weeks ago. So I've been jamming it in the car as the days have gone by, waiting for you guys to, get to release day. But what was the coolest moment? I know Adam texted me at like 2:00 in the afternoon. He was like, "Hey man, sorry I didn't text you back. I was a little wasted last night." But what was the best moment of release, the first couple of days of the release for you guys?
Honestly, just the feedback from our peers was really positive, and I think that's a very validating thing when there's people that you respect so much musically that hit you up and tell you how much they love your songs or this song or that song, and it means a lot to you because a year ago nobody knew who we were. So I feel like it means extra a lot to me and Adam because we were grinding for a long time and have a lot of respect for a lot of people in this town. And when they hit us up saying they love it, it's a good feeling.
So this past week, when the EP came out on Friday, they threw us, couple people threw us a surprise party for the EP. And honestly, you go back and forth with so many people and you text and everyone's congratulating you and stuff, but it's a whole nother thing to like walk into a room full of people, especially since like Corona and all that. And I just didn't realize how many people actually cared about us. And honestly, I've never been surrounded by so much love, especially in my music career. So like that was one of the coolest moments, honestly, of my entire life. So it's super rewarding, man. We feel so blessed and lucky right now.
It's really cool to see you guys being able to celebrate something like this, because I honestly will never forget the first time that I heard Boys Like Us, and it just blew me away because it was, I can't say it enough how refreshing it was to hear guys like you doing something that was within the genre but was so different and so outside the box. And it's just cool to see this progression and honestly become friends with you guys and start to have conversations outside of the podcast and just see all of the cool moments, because we're so happy for you guys and so stoked to see what you're doing. And all of that stuff to me is because of how genuine you guys are. When you told us at the beginning, we're real, this is who we are. I mean, everybody says that, but it is legit 100% the truth that you boys legitimately are as real as it gets. And I will say that over and over. So I'm stoked for you guys, and I'm unbelievably happy that you are having this podcast with us. So thank you.
Hey, we appreciate that, man.
Yeah. You guys treat us so well. Why would we not, boys? We love y'all.
I don't get to do the boys things yet, though, like drink beers and do shots of whiskey.
Yo, to your last point, though, okay, question for you. When you heard Boys Like Us and you liked that sound and kind of just how fresh it felt to you for the genre, did you feel like you got what you wanted or expected from the EP?
Yeah, I think more, honestly, because you guys showed sides that I didn't know that you had. I mean, you know, the rock side and the really, you know, pumping anthem songs are there, but you also have this, like, you got a pretty smooth voice, man. Like, it kind of threw me off a little bit, you know, just hearing some of the other songs that we'll get into a little bit later. But yeah, I mean, it has everything. It's up and down. You've got it's not the same stuff over and over. I was going to say shit, but I can say that if I want. It's literally got all ends of the spectrum. And so it actually blew me away, because there was stuff that you guys had that I didn't know that you could do. So yeah, it gave me everything.
Thank you, dude.
Hell yeah.
We'll send you some real weird stuff later.
I will say that's one really cool thing about the friendship that we all kind of have made from KJ, you know, finding Boys Like Us online and then reaching out to Michael, and Michael being like, yeah, let's do it. You know, you guys made time for us real quick. And, you know, we appreciate that. As at the time, you guys were our 4th or 5th episode in the podcast. Now we're at 11, but we also have a million, you know, on the horizon. And it's been nice to see in the podcast, like KJ said, when you said you guys are real guys, you guys are the type of guys who want to go grab a golf cart and go out and tailgate at shows. I see that in just our regular exchange, you know, throughout the last couple of days and the last couple of months, just in our group text. And I hope that people who are listening to this and, you know, radio people who are catching on to the EP and other people who are catching on to the EP really see that you guys are out there grinding and you're just really good dudes.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I mean, if anyone doesn't think for one second that we won't be, you know, shotgunning a beer in the front row after we open for somebody, they're mistaken, man. You know, we kind of joke around about it, but there's some truth behind it. Like, you know, if we weren't doing this for a living, honestly, I'd probably still be holding the stop sign or on a roof somewhere, and Mikey would still be in the military. So it's like, you know, we just feel so freaking blessed, man, to get to do this every night for a living, and every day for that matter.
So what's new with you guys since, other than the EP, but let's say before the EP to when we last spoke, what's new? What have you guys been up to? What's been kind of the favorite thing so far?
Well, we signed a booking deal with CAA. So that was nice. That was huge, because me and Adam take so much pride in our live show. Like, dude, I mean, honestly, like, we love social media and everything. You know, we love talking to people and connecting with people, but at the end of the day, we just want to melt people's faces off. So, you know, signing with CAA will allow us to go on tour and do things like that when things open back up. And they've already booked a bunch of stuff for us. So that was huge for us. I don't know, getting to write with some really big names and stuff has been really dope lately. And I don't know, man. I just feel like people are kind of starting to hear about us or get us, or, you know, maybe hear a couple songs that they like, and it's nice. I feel like with every day that goes by, just being more and more accepted in the Nashville community is really nice, man.
Yeah, my favorite thing definitely would be the CAA thing, just because the live show is our favorite part of what we do, because that's how we started too. You know, as you guys, both of you guys know, I don't know if anyone else knows this, but I toured as a metal guitar player, like in high school. and then shortly after high school, and then got into country, started playing bars at like 20. So like there was a point in time where Mikey and I were literally in a barroom corner competing with however many like TVs they had and like carrying our own subwoofers in a club or something like that. So to see the show offers come in, you know, for us and getting these openers, you know, from CAA is like a dream come true, man. And also putting together our first, you know, we came off a lot of cover shows in the last few years. So like putting together our first like legit 7-song opener that's all original for us that's massive as well, you know, because that's who we are. You know, the cover song thing was fun, and that'll always be a huge part of us, and love the fact that, you know, we grinded so many years like that, because it really came in handy. But the, you know, the open air show that we're putting together is going to be absolutely insane. So we can't wait till everyone sees the show, man.
Yeah, definitely different for you guys to come from the, you know, doing the cover band stuff, because there's not a lot of artists that come out of that. A lot of them, it seems like they get stuck in that cover band world, and they have a hard time getting out of it and establishing themselves as their own artist and being independent and having their own identity. They kind of get attached to some of this cover stuff. So really cool you were able to develop your chops doing that. But before we get into the live stuff, I'm interested in some of these rights. There's one big one that obviously I've seen with Tyler Hubbard, but tell us more about, you know, some of these rights that you're doing, and, you know, what are some of the favorite moments of writing that you've had since the last time we talked to you?
Yeah, I think every time we get in a room, because there's kind of a process to it, you know, when we get in a room with somebody and we're all going to write a song for us, you know, if it's their first time meeting us, we typically like to have them listen to a few of our songs, you know, and kind of catch the vibe a little bit. And it's always cool when we get in a room with somebody that we have known about for a while and really respect, and we show them a few things and they're like, boys, this is dope. You know what I mean? It's like those moments to me and Adam are really sick. And yeah, dude, that Tyler Hubbard right was great. Me and Adam were both huge FGL fans. And I feel like we can really relate to them now, because they must have felt similar to how we feel in regards to how genre bending their sound is, you know, especially when they first started out, man. Like country music had nothing like that before. People forget that they absolutely changed the game, right? So, you know, getting into a room with Tyler was something that was really cool for us, because honestly, we just gelled off the bat. Like he loved our style and we loved his. And it's not every day. Every time you write with somebody like that, you don't always get a good song. You know what I mean? Right. So, but we were lucky enough to get a really good one with him that day, and it was just we were really blown away by how talented he was as a writer, you know, because nobody gets to see that side of things. And that dude puts in work. I'm going to tell you right now, doesn't matter how far into that dude's career he is still at it every day, it seems like, man, which is really, really cool to see.
Not only that, but also on like a, you know, a personal level, he's a super busy guy. So to balance all that is something that Mikey and I, you know, eventually will have to take notes from guys like that and learn for ourselves, you know, how to balance our daily lives with our careers as well. And, you know, just to re-up on that, like Tyler blew both of us away, man. Super talented writer, like Mikey said. And I told Tyler, I was like, man, you know, literally your voice was like the soundtrack to my 2013 summer. And that was like years and years before I even had a plan to move to Nashville. So it was a very, very cool moment for sure. Yeah.
Was there any advice that he gave you guys? Like Michael said, that they were the genre bending band at that point. You know, everybody really, really hated on FGL right away because it's bro country and it's not traditional. And now they're the biggest thing since sliced bread still. Was there any advice that he gave you guys as that, you know, next genre bending band?
First of all, I bet some of those people that were hating on him are now big artists, and they have their career to thank for. They have FGL to thank for their career, no doubt about it, right? But yeah, we actually asked him that, man. We were like, you know, after we got finished writing the song, we were just sitting there in the condo in LA, and we were like, dude, if you had one piece of advice for us, you know, what would it be? And he said something along the lines of just having good management and really staying true to who you are. And also, one of the more important things he said as well was learning to balance your time. Like Adam said, he's a busy guy these days, and we're getting busier every day. And he was kind of real adamant on like, always make sure to take time for yourself, like compartmentalize things like, hey, from 9 a.m. to 10, I'm going to answer stuff on social media. From 10 to noon, I'm going to do this. So, that's valuable advice coming from someone like him, because honestly, dude, I don't know of a country act in my lifetime that's been bigger than they were.
100%. I 100% agree with that there is nobody as big as them, especially in a duo like you guys. So that's something that you guys definitely, I'm guessing, look towards, and for that advice from him being in a band. It's different when you're in a group or you're a solo artist. Those guys are the biggest duo on the face of the freaking planet.
Yeah,
for sure.
So let's dive into playing shows. I mean, you guys got out and played some shows in Florida. How was it, getting back out after everything with COVID and everything going on?
Man, it's starting to feel like normal life again, which is amazing. The show thing, man, it's a weird time right now because of different states and different regulations and that kind of stuff. So really, we're looking forward to playing really anything and everything. And, hopefully people are excited to come out and those shows sell out fast. And, personally, I think they will. So we're definitely looking forward to, hitting the road some more.
It's about to be the Roaring 20s all over again. No doubt about it. That's what one of our managers, Simon, he says that all the time. He's like, dude, people are just going to be dying to get out. He's like, I think this next decade is just going to be like a big party decade. And I agree with that.
Yeah. Also, and I think, we're an act that's going to break on touring, because the live show is so important to us. And also it's just the songs too. The material, I feel like, is more well received if you're standing out front in front row or out in the crowd somewhere than it is if you listen to it in your car, which hopefully you enjoy it both ways. But I'm telling you, man, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like the live show. And so we're going to do our best to put together the most killer half hour that we can, for this year.
No, that's awesome that he says that, because it's totally true. The last time that we saw a pandemic like this, it was 1918. So that would make perfect sense of why the Roaring 20s were the Roaring 20s, and we're about to revisit that. So I couldn't agree with that more. I think that's a great point. I've seen a few videos of what you're doing already, and I don't think the energy it comes through. But just knowing you guys and knowing your energy, I can't wait to see you guys live. I can't wait to be standing in the freaking crowd, just feeling those guitars and all of it, just all, because it's so good. And I love the rock side of it. I'm a huge rock and roll fan. So to have that edge to it, it just makes me just want to go out and have a beer and just sit in the crowd. So I'm excited to see that. What do you have anything on the books yet for shows? Do you have anything that we can talk about?
Hell yeah. We have April 17th. We're in Biloxi, Mississippi, with Hardy actually that night.
Nice.
So
that's his stomping ground, isn't it? I don't know if Biloxi
this is his home state. Yeah. I think he grew up in Philadelphia, Mississippi, but
Nico Moon's also playing that one, who just had a #1. Shout out.
Hell yeah.
2 weeks
he
ago.
puts on a show too, so that'll be fun, man. I would love to see that. That's like a rock and roll vibe all in itself.
Well, dude, I was just gonna say, you're talking about the guitars and stuff. Like, dude, it is purely just a rock show, because we come from the metal background, so I feel like that's the metal style of show, or a rock and roll show, is something that country fans don't really get to experience a whole lot. So we I know the record is like really rocking, but we take it even a little bit further live. So
nice.
And one of the things that we've been talking about recently, you guys being rock fans, that Warped Tour is now over. So it's like, I feel like a lot of those fans can migrate over to country music with the right act. And I hopefully we're the right act for that, So we're ready to bring a little bit of Van's Warped Tour to country music this year, I think.
Sweet.
Well, think Fall Out Boy with country lyrics.
I say that we're kill switch country all the time is what I call it, but it's just good. It has a nice ring to it. But
it's funny that you say that, because we were talking to Jake Rose, who you guys who wrote a song with, and Jake comes from that, the active rock world, and he's still in that active rock world. I could see how you guys could be the draw 100% for people our age who loved Warped Tour. And I could see how, you guys could be playing the outside. That could be a thing. You guys could play outside of a stadium show on the back of a trailer, Warped Tour style, and you guys could probably draw pretty damn well in a parking lot.
I mean, we're always down for a parking lot party anytime, as long as you guys will be there with us.
100%.
Yeah,
100% be there. I'm sitting here thinking, we might need to go to Biloxi, Mississippi.
Oh, come on. Look, hey,
let's go.
We're taking a bus. All you got to do is get there and you just come party on the bus with us and just have a great night.
For sure. I was telling KJ the other day, I was like, you've never even been on a bus, have you? And he's like, no, one time.
It's cool.
I was like, oh, yeah.
I haven't either. It's cool.
Buses
I don't know.
best.
I don't really. Yeah, I'm not an artist, so from that perspective, a musician. So that hasn't been, and I'm also not a band chaser, so I could care less about being on a bus. But if it's with you boys drinking beers, let's do it.
Yo, also shout out Jake Rose. We wrote a banger with him the other day. One of the best dudes.
Good dude.
One of my favorite people.
Jake has quickly become one of our great friends here in town. It took honestly one write together, and we felt, I think at one point in time, I was like, I feel like we're like 15 again and we're having a sleepover at your dad's house or something. It was just that we just had so much fun, man. And we did come from similar backgrounds. Yeah. Jake did pretty well in the rock world, still is. And, so it's cool. It's cool to see other guys transition to country, as well as he did too. Like Sleeves, man, that was actually a song I found years before I moved to Nashville as well. And I was like, man, this is sick. His vocals are absolutely insane. I tell him that all the time, but he's great, man. Great dude.
The thing I love the most of just comparing you guys to him is you guys are not afraid to just be who you are. And it makes me enjoy the sound that you guys produce as well as him. I tell him that all the time. Like, it's so weird when when I'll go back and forth with him through Messenger and just talk to him about certain stuff that he's putting out. And I'm like, gosh, dude, you sound so good. I just love your sound. And he can cross between doing the New Medicine stuff and then coming over and doing the country stuff. And it's just, he just sounds like him. It's not fake. It's not forced. It's not, overproduced. It's literally just who he is. And I feel like you guys share that same value.
I would do 100%. And I was actually going to say, like, there was a lot of, like Brailey mentioned, bro country, that whole thing. And like, there was a lot of fans disappointed. I feel like traditional country fans, when that sound started, becoming a thing, but like Mikey and I would sound the same way if there wasn't any success in it. We play the music we play because it's who we are. And, I think a lot of people thought country music, the overall sound was changing because people were chasing the success of pop music, but that's not anywhere close to true for us, man. I think, it's, if you download the whole EP and stream it, you'll hear so many different influences, and they're all super important to our sound. We would sound the same way no matter who liked it or who didn't. So Jake, I feel like is in the same exact boat.
I think that that everybody always says, like, a lot of like OG songwriters that we talk to, they're always like, just tell the truth and people will resonate with it. But here's the thing, I agree with that. If you're gonna write a song where you tell the truth, no doubt. But most songs in Nashville are written conceptually. So, I feel like there's not a lot of necessarily a lot of truth to exactly what you're singing about. Like, it hasn't necessarily happened to you. But the thing is, if you're just authentic with your style and how you deliver it, I think that's what people resonate with. Because I mean, we have no problem being ourselves, because I think we don't know how not to. Shout out Dan and Shay. but but dude, I mean, it's true, man. And honestly, like, we want people to love us for who we are. And I think that they'll like it better that way too. You know, there's a lot of people that try to create an image or a brand of something that they're not, and it just comes off as cheesy. And we want to be those dudes that we make a rock record today and put out like some pop shit next week. But like, as long as people know us and understand what we love, they'll always rock with us. That's how we feel.
This is the most organic thing I've ever done musically, without a doubt. You know, it's, if you listen to all the musical influences in there, I mean, you know, there's every subgenre in there is different. And we hope that people kind of pick it apart, you know, and find that really neat, that there's some metal influence, there's hip hop influence, there's some classic rock influence, even a little bit, you know, but yeah, man, we hope everyone loves it as much as we do.
Yeah. It's just one last note I just want to throw out there. When we first had you on, we didn't know what you were going to sound like, or what your sound was going to be. I mean, we had a good idea because you were developing that, but man, when people listen to this EP and they listen to that exact thing, that every single song that you put out, and they're all different, they all sound different, they all still have your sound. And I think we all have found out what the After Midtown sound is, and man, it's damn good. So I'm excited for people to listen to it and really get into it. I've been sharing your stuff with everybody because I don't care what you listen to. I don't care what genre you listen to. If you listen to After Midtown, I think you'll like it. I think you'll find a song at least on this EP that you can vibe with.
I think that's super important too. And I love that you said that. You know, we've had two conversations recently that, I don't know, have just kind of stuck with me. We went over to our publisher's house. Rusty Gaston, he's the head of Sony Publishing here in Nashville. We went over to his house one night and we listened through the EP, and he goes, look, he said, you know what my favorite part about this EP is? He said, it all sounds cohesive. He says, it's very, very clear from the EP that you guys have found your lane. You've found your sound, you know, and that was reassuring, you know, because I think that a lot, you know, that's why I asked you the question earlier. I said, after you're hearing Boys Like Us, is this kind of what you would expect, you know? And the other conversation that stuck with me is we played Whiskey Jam the other night. You know, we had some folks out there that we were talking to out front afterwards, and one of the guys, he goes, man, he says, look, boys, he said, I think if you just keep going and doing what you're doing, that this could be huge. He was like, my favorite part about your music is, he was like, I think it transcends country, to be honest with you. He was like, I don't even like country. He says, I'm a black guy, I don't even like country. He says, but there's something about your music that isn't, it is country, but it's something else too. And I love that. And I don't know, man, I thought that was cool, because we always have dreams of, we want everyone, you know, we want every type of fan. Like, dude, if you like rock, love us. If you like pop, come love us. If you like country, come love us. Like, we'll take you all, you know what I mean? And we hope that in our music, there's little elements that give you what you need, no matter what fan or what genre you're a fan of.
I love to hear that. Let's dive right into the EP off of that, because I have a quick story. The EP is out. I've listened to it. It's probably going to end up being the number one thing on my Spotify Wrapped at the end of the year. I already know it because I've probably listened to it, I don't know, 25 times. Plus, I had it early, so I've listened to it a million times in the car too. But don't give away the ending. I love the cover when you guys sent it to us, and Michael was like, hey, look at our pop punk album cover. And I was like, yep, that is 100% what that is. I love it. Michael, you just said something about how the guy that you were talking to at Whiskey Jam said that he didn't even like country and he enjoyed what you guys did. My best friend was listening to the podcast, the first episode with you guys, and he texted me and he was on the road and he goes, hey, who is After Midtown and how do I become their friend? And I was like, oh, they're the best dudes. And I was like, why? Where did that come from? He's like, I'm listening to the podcast. where is their stuff? Is it on Spotify? And I was like, let me send you one song that I know you'll enjoy, because he's a metal guy. He's like Adam, Kill Switch, Trivium, stuff like that. That is who he is. But he also loves OGFGL and Brantley and stuff like that. And so I sent him Raised One to it. And he immediately texts me back and goes, that is the number one song in your bachelor party playlist. He's like, I just threw it in there. And now that the EP's out, he's like, dude, this thing is so good. And it does transcend everybody's genre. If you like pop, if you like rock, if you like hip hop, that's what the EP is. So let's dive right into it. Let's talk about Raise One to It.
Hell yeah. We wrote that with our buddy Cole Taylor. That was just like kind of a random, another songwriting day. We had no idea. Just with every other songwriting day that we have no idea what we're going to get that day. And we just happened to get what we believed was honestly the best party song that we've ever wrote. So yeah, man, we're pumped about that. That's why it's the first track on the album. And also it's little spoiler alert here. It's the first song we play live. It's the opener. So
it should be.
and it's just some real shit. Like, I just feel like we're talking about some real, regular, everyday folks kind of stuff.
I had at least like 2 or 3 nurse friends text me and be like, yo, the shout out in that one line is genius. I love that. And so, yeah, man, we're regular ass dudes, and we want to party and write music for regular ass people as well. So
I made a couple of notes on every song. Just being a radio guy and a musician myself, I kind of picked it apart because I love certain things in certain songs. But right away in that song, when the double kick comes in and it just punches you right in the face, right, as a drummer, I immediately am like, yes, I love this.
I know we're not doing video right now to everyone that's listening, but I'm sitting currently in my little studio room in my house, and right here is the drum kit that I recorded everything on, man. I'm so glad that, there's people already picking it apart and hearing those little elements like double bass and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And then the cadence is infectious as hell. Like, as soon as Michael starts singing, it's that flow. You're like, okay. And then by the second verse, you're like, oh, I know this. I don't even know the words, but I know the way that this is going to go. Like, I love everything on the EP, but those are like 2 of the first things that I noticed immediately when you guys sent it to us.
What you're talking about is the bounce, dog. The bounce. Yo, and we're big on that, man. Like, the vocal flows that don't fight anything. Like, if there is such thing as a vocal pocket, we just try to fit right in there. Like not fighting anything, not fighting the beat of the drums or anything like that. And yeah, dude, we get that all the time. Like, yo, the double kick, the hard drums, this and that. And some people are like, yeah, we don't really do that in country music. Why not? Why not? Like, man, they won't play that. Okay, prove it.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, the constant push and pull that we have with management over something as simple as kick drum cadencing on a song is insane. But I will say that, management has handled all of what we do absolutely perfect, and that's no different. Like, they are the exact push that we need, or the pull that we need. When I take it a little too far with a drum track, they're sure to let me know. So we always meet in the middle somewhere.
Adam, I want to talk about your influence on the music and how much you played, because you just said this is where I played the drums. I really want to bring up the fact that how much of an influence you have in the musical side of it and how much you played. Like, did you play every instrument, or were there instruments that you had musicians come in and play? Like, because I know you play them all. So what did you do for this EP?
Yeah. So, I've played everything on the record, actually. It's just our creative process is kind of unique, I guess, in that way. I joke about, I grew up in like the western side of Pennsylvania. It's real mountainous and snowy, like 5 months out of the year there. So like, I always joke and say I didn't have shit to do as a kid but learn instruments growing up. But yeah, there was countless nights, man, on this entire record of me staying up until 4, 5, 6 a.m. recording drum parts, recording guitar parts, bass, banjo, acoustic, organ, pads, all this stuff. And so I produced, pretty much everything out of the gate. And then we take it to one of the most incredible young engineers and producers I've ever met in my entire life. He's become one of our best friends in the process. His name's Austin Sean. And from there, Austin will mix and engineer everything and basically make everything that I tracked here at home sound like $1 million. And then Austin also produces all of our vocals as well. And he's just an absolute prodigy when it comes to that. So we have such a small little team, but such an efficient formula worked out for recording nowadays that it's awesome. So yeah. So everything, all the instruments that you would see if there was video right now in this room, I tracked on this album. So it's like I said, that's why I'm so proud of this. I've never been more proud of
That's rare though, man. It's really rare to find musicians that can do it and do it at the level that you did it. I mean, it's really important for me to note that, because I know a lot of musicians and I don't know any musician that can do it at the level that you do across the board. And it's really phenomenal, dude. And I think people need to know that, because, I mean, the lyrics are freaking catchy as hell, but all of it together and the fact that you do all of the music is so huge, man. Like, it's so cool. Like, kudos to you.
Dude, thank you so much, man. That I really appreciate that. And that's like, that's why Mikey and I are such a good team, because Mikey's a genius songwriter. And,
for sure.
And it's just like, man, it's like dude, it's a power couple, in a lot of ways.
Totally.
It's a,
it gets very sexual at times.
Hey, you got to do whatever works, right?
Also, let me just interrupt and say, because Adam's a humble guy, but it is, Adam is somebody, typically I feel like when you're talking about who should move to Nashville, this or that, well, you hear a good singer and you're like, man, that person should move to Nashville, right? Sure. Like, Adam can sing his ass off. There's no question. Yeah. But if you sit down and listen to Adam play for 10 minutes at guitar, whatever, you're like, wow, that dude belongs here. Like, there's nothing else that he should be doing. You know what I mean? And that is so dope. There's so many times where we'll be writing a song and, we have the whole song wrote, and I'll be like, yeah, I don't know if this is the vibe. And Adam would be like, give me like 2 days, right? And he'll just go home and build a track for it. And then it completely changes the song. I mean, even when we wrote with Tyler, he was like, we had a little tracking rig up there in the condo, and, Adam can produce, but he's no Austin Sean. Okay. So when we're, doing a really basic demo of the song we're writing, Tyler's like, hey, let's do this and let's do that. And which he's totally right. But I had to tell him, I was like, yo, dude, I know this is your first time meeting us, but just trust me, give Adam a couple days and he'll knock your socks off. And sure enough, we got finished in the studio recording that song at 3 a.m. We sent it over to him and woke up to a text that he sent at 7 a.m. He was like, boys, this is amazing. The song sounds so great, but I mean, if you really think about that, it's not, quite a person to impress. And that's happened on so many instances where Adam just goes and slays that stuff. And there's nobody else in this town that could produce our music like Adam does. No chance.
For sure.
And it sounds so good. As a musician myself and a drummer, that's the first thing I think of. And that's where Adam and I really relate, is when it comes to kick drum sequencing and stuff like that. I listen to that. And the first thing I do is I throw my in-ears in and I listen to it as true as I possibly can. And when a record is mixed as well as y'all's is mixed, I immediately go, okay, this is so good. And on not even a major label budget, you guys have stuff that sounds better than, I would say, 90% of the stuff that you're listening to on Spotify. Now, is everybody going to notice that? Probably not. Are the musicians and the radio people and the production nerds going to hear it and they're going to go, okay, that's really good? Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, man. Man, it's it's so funny. This is actually the first time that we've talked about any of the actual process, of how the EP came about tracking wise. But Yeah, it's nuts. And what's funny, man, Mikey, going back to him, me telling him like, hey, you got to trust me on this. Give me like a couple days. I'll have something ready. I was like, even there's been songs that he's hated that I've been able to flip around just by changing something from the demo and just making a whole new track entirely sometimes. And it's funny, he doesn't really get, I feel like he listens to our music so much more in the final state because I'm so sick of hearing like the same guitar tracks over and over and over and over again. So like, it's, like I said, I have hours and hours and hours of just playing the same song over and over again. There's probably like at least 6 to 8 guitar tracks that are double tracked on every song. And that doesn't include obviously all the other instruments. So sometimes it's really cool to, we show up at Austin's studio and he has it mixed and ready to go. And sometimes I don't send Mikey like a tracking mix, like the tracking mix of it as an example of what it is going to sound like, and so sometimes his reaction when he comes to Austin's and hears the song for the first time since the day that we wrote it and we recorded it on like a cell phone, his reaction is priceless sometimes. So it's really fun, man. We have like I said, we have a really good team worked out here.
That's so good. And it's got to be so much fun for you, Michael, to, leave it kind of behind when you guys do the quick demo on a phone just during the write and then come back and be like, holy crap, that's the song we wrote.
Yeah, let's just call it what it is. Like, I'm just not as instrumentally talented as Adam is. So like, it is a lot of fun because Adam's right. A lot of times I don't even hear the tracking mix, but I trust him with everything. So it's like, I know that it's going to be fire when I show up, and it always is. So it is a lot of fun.
Yeah. Let's move into Ain't Doing Something Right. Second track on the EP. This is an outside cut. And I remember when we had originally recorded the first podcast, Michael had made a comment that you guys were cutting a Hardy song. And then you sent it to us, and I was like, that's a Hardy song. Like immediately, even though it was you guys on it, I was like, that's a Hardy song. I know that for a fact. What was it about that song that drove you guys to cutting that one?
Giant anthem chorus. And it's just, what's funny about that song is it was written in 2017. You know what I mean? So maybe in 2017, it was a touch ahead of its time. So honestly, we were thankful that no one else had cut it yet. And then when our publisher asked us to cut it, we were like, hell yeah. And we gave it a listen, and, it was just a basic demo, and it sounded great even then. And then when Adam built the track for it, I was like, oh my God, I think this song is huge, And although Hardy is the most well-known writer on that song, because he's an artist, of course, as well, like, make no mistake, Jesse Alexander and Ben Hayslip are absolute legends as well. I mean,
monster
Jesse
writers.
Yeah, I mean, when you write a song like The Climb, I mean, come on, dude.
And Ben with like 3 cuts on the new Morgan Wallen record, and multiple other times you'll see Ben's name pop up. Like, all 3 of them are monster songwriters.
Also, can we just say that the first time, well, actually the only time that we've ever wrote with Ben, we absolutely shit the bed. Like, dude, we just had the worst day. I mean, just imagine nothing going through your head. That's exactly how it happened. And we were just so apologetic the entire time. Like, Ben, I'm not saying that we're like freaking Prince, but we're like okay songwriters. And today there's just nothing going on between our ears. And he was just like, no, it's okay. Ben's just a good old boy, right?
Yes.
And dude, thank God he still talks to us somehow. Dude, we were awful that day, man.
I was gonna say that's always a funny thing because like you don't know who tells who what like before you walk into one of these rooms, and like, oh, these guys are awesome and all that stuff, and then we just go in there and shit the bed for one day is like the worst feeling ever. But in front of honestly, like a true inspiration of our songwriting wise, and it's that's a terrible feeling.
That reminds me of Elisa when she was on. We had Elisa Vanderheim on because of you guys, and then Hunter talked about her, and everybody keeps bringing up Elisa, so we had to reach out, and she was the best. It was so much fun. We talked about conspiracy theories. That's the episode right before this if anybody wants to go back and listen. But I remember her telling us that when they wrote cold beer calling my name that somebody walked in the studio or walked in the writing room, looked at him and goes, "You guys don't have shit in here today." And she goes, "We didn't have anything." And then somehow that came out of it. So you never know. You guys might get a legit Ben Hayslip right next time.
Dude, I know. We texted him when we cut that song. We texted him. We were like, "Yo, bro, thanks so much for letting us cut the song. Also, sorry about last time. Hopefully, yo. By the way, I'm not going to give anything away, but I will just say that Elisa is working on some really big stuff. So you'll have to get with her again soon.
She's so talented.
Dude,
She's
we're so proud of her, man. It's awesome, and we love working with her. She's one of our favorites, man. So
she loves y'all. Like she was so complimentive of you. That's not even the right word, but she loves y'all.
Yo, she was someone from day one, like back when we didn't have shit going on. She was someone from day one that treated us like we've been writing songs for years, like she had known us for years, it felt like, and just gave us the utmost respect, even though we didn't even really deserve it at that time. We've just been great homies ever since.
I believe it. I hit her up about some doing some graphics and video for her to promote the podcast, and I was like, man, I can't wait for when you're on tour and we can go grab a beer. And she's like, well, I'll be in Steamboat. How close is that? And I'm like, oh, 4.5 hours away. This is way too far. But yeah, she's just so cool and so humble, and she's so talented. So cool that you guys are teaming up with some really great people, really cool people. But I just want to go back, just ain't doing something right. I just want to talk about the fact that, yeah, I heard Hardy. I heard a little bit in there, but you guys made that an After Midtown track. So you took that, like, yeah, if you know, it's funny because I feel like I can always hear a Hardy cut. Always. It doesn't matter if it's, I don't know, Johnny McGuire all the way to anybody, Morgan Wallen, anyone that's writing with Hardy. You can always, like, there's something the way
the phrasing.
The phrase, and just his melodies and the way that he writes, but you guys made that After Midtown track, and it fits right into the EP. So
thank you, man. Yeah, Hardy has rather a lot of the same influences that we do, on the rock side of things. But what Hardy does as an artist and as a vocalist is a little more Southern than what we do. So really, it was just finding that way to transition it to make it a little more like new metal or a little more modern rock in that sense. Hardy has a very classic kind of rock vibe to him, and that style doesn't necessarily fit us the best. So, but we heard everything we needed to hear within the first 15 seconds of the demo to know that we were like, this is going to be a huge song for us, man, and we can't wait to cut it. So that's one of my favorites on the record, man.
It's a good one.
I again wrote down some lyrics in here that I absolutely love because I'm a nerd. Welcome to the party. You ain't gonna be sorry. Driving out here all the way out here tonight. I immediately thought of, like, growing up in a small town in South Dakota. The party was always out in somebody's freaking barn out in the middle of BFE. And so as soon as I heard that in the start of the song, I was like, yeah, that sounds like my hometown, 100%.
Yo, Brailey, we're in South Dakota.
I grew up in Spearfish, so in western South Dakota.
Yeah. I used so my whole dad's side of the family is from South Dakota. They were kind of all spread out. Yeah, so the Ernst roots are as Midwest as it gets.
Yeah, my fiance is from Hot Springs, and then I grew up in Spearfish. So we're
I rode my motorcycle through Spearfish, man. That's some beautiful country out there. That's awesome.
For sure. But yeah, the party was always out in the boonies. So as soon as I heard that lyric, I was like, yeah, that's you guys. There's something about the songs you pick and the songs you write that immediately throw me back to somewhere else. And I go, yeah. And when you say you got some catching up to do, I'll give you 30 minutes to get right down to business. That is my best friend every single time that we go somewhere. If he's like 3 or 4 beers in, he's like, you better get your ass ready to go, because in a little bit, if you're not caught up, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, dude. Same. I mean, it's both me and Adam both. We were up the same way, dude. So it felt like, although we didn't write it, it was still very authentic to us.
Yeah.
I do feel like, Michael, that's something you would say to me if I walked into the bar, or to Adam or whoever. You'd be like, dude, let's go. Where you at?
100%. Yeah, dude. Yeah, boys, just wait.
How much different was the demo that you guys heard than what the After Midtown spin is on that song?
So hilariously enough, that's one of the only songs in the history of recording for me that I put the actual demo, like stereo wave file track into my tracking window. And I kind of just, I tap tempoed it out and I followed the structure of the song almost exactly to where the demo was. And there was just really a couple of changes. I really liked pretty much everything of what they did, but like Mikey said, it was a very simple demo. So we just decided to take it as far into After Midtown land as we possibly could, but the demo was very similar. It almost just feels like a I don't know, stripped down version of what you hear on the record, honestly,
Also, we'll send it to you.
Yeah. I'm curious to hear it because you definitely can hear Adam on it. I mean, you immediately hear your guys' influence on the production side 100%. So I was curious of how much Adam's influence is different than the demo for sure.
Yeah, we hope really at the end of the day, we just hope that we did Hardy and Jesse and Ben, did them proud. So I can't wait till everyone hears that one, man. That's a big one.
I was gonna say we'll send it to you, and I'm pretty sure we can do this. I don't think anyone would have a problem with it. But like if it fits into your segment or whatever, we'll send it to you. And if you want to do like a side by side comparison, feel free.
When I said I could tell that it was a Hardy song, I can definitely now hear if somebody was to play me an After Midtown song that I haven't heard, one that you haven't sent me, I could immediately tell that it was you guys. So if it was Brailey, your vocal or Adam's production.
That's awesome. Brailey, so for the record, now I'm thinking back about the actual tracking of that song. The main difference, and you'll find this funny because you're a drummer, the main difference is the solo section actually has more of like a China double bass kind of breakdown thing.
Yep.
Then the demo doesn't have that. But, I'd say that those are the little elements that we take pride in, honestly, in the final mix of something. So
Adam, tell them what inspired the drum beat.
So there was another section of the song, the front half. There's some like 808 kick drums going on that are kind of buried in the mix. And I don't listen to a ton of hip hop, but I listen to Yellow Wolf. And the Pop the Trunk was, when that came out, it was like a game changer, honestly. That was like my introduction to anything hip hop related. And if you listen to the kick drum pattern in Pop the Trunk, it's actually exactly the same as
nice. I love that song.
Ain't Doing Something Right. So you can actually, if you put on the intro of Ain't Doing Something Right and with the kick drum and the snare groove, you can actually sing Don't Make Me Go Pop the Trunk on You. And so it's a really neat little nerdy note. And I know
DJ is going to mix that. Now that you said that, some DJ is going to mix that for sure.
Yeah, one of those guys on TikTok that mixes them together.
Which Austin does a hell of a job mixing, the guitars and drums to make them fit as best as possible. When I produce them out at the house here, I take every little rhythmic, polyrhythm, whatever nerdy stuff into consideration. So
let's jump to See Her Around. I remember when you guys were on the first time, Michael was giving Hunter shit about texting him about repeating the line twice, and you were like, dude, you wrote Girl I Know Your Favorite Beer because you told me and I bought it. And when you sent it to me, it wasn't originally my favorite. I was like, I want to love this because it's you two and Hunter and Elisa and Eric. And I was like, I really want to love this, but I didn't until probably the fourth or fifth listen. Then I was like, okay, never mind. I really do enjoy it. This is a really good song. And now that is probably my favorite song on the EP.
No way. Thank you, man. Well, first of all, out of any song on the album, I feel like that's probably the deepest cut on there, just because of how crazy like the bridge section gets. It's a little aggressive. But that day, once again, that was actually the same day, same day Hunter was talking about us rolling in like a party, man. And that happened to be the song. We didn't write a party song that day, unfortunately, but we got See Her Around. So it was a good problem to have, so.
Also, we started that song several months before that. We started that song originally with just Eric,
lyrically. Yeah. The whole track idea kind of got changed from the initial first writing day with Eric Ben Houghton. But lyrically, a lot of the first verse is actually the whole first verse is the same. Yeah, that's one of our favorites as well, man. So I got picked.
We couldn't find a chorus for it. We just like, we thought the verses were fire, but we were like, man, like we just need a chorus that's as fire as the verses, you know? And then when we got in that room with Hunter and Elisa, we kind of changed the perspective on it, because originally the perspective was you. Maybe you're just in a beach chase. Maybe you're making it right. So then we changed it to a different perspective to say maybe she's just in a beach chair. Maybe she, you know, there's a different perspective. And then, you know, Hunter and Elisa just got on this chorus, and it just ended up working. It felt freaking great.
And Elisa actually, I don't even know if she knows this, but she's kind of responsible for the chord progression in the chorus, because she was playing something and all I did was basically copy her and add like a little passing chord that I thought was cool and could be like an accent with the drums. And so Elisa wrote the chord progression in that song in the chorus. So she killed it. Hunter killed it. It was just an amazing day.
This is one of the tracks that I feel like really made me change my perspective about you guys, because it's so different than everything else, and it's so good, but it's, you know, it's just, you know, it shows the dynamic that you all have, and that you have the ability not to be a one hit, you know, song, a one sound band. You have the ability to go deep, and like you said, it's probably the deepest track. And I think that, you know, this one was one of the ones that blew me away in really how talented you guys are. And it's just great. All around, like I love the sound, and the lyrics are super great and catchy. And, you know, like you said, the perspective, now that I know that, it's interesting, because it definitely changes my, you know, thought on how really good it is. Like,
now that you were saying that, Michael, now every single time I'm going to think about it from that other perspective.
Dude, that's the beauty of songwriting, you know. Yeah. And I guess maybe that's the beauty of getting to do what you guys get to do. You get to hear all the backstories, you know what I mean?
Well, it's why we do this, man, because we want people to know that, you know, these songs don't just, like you said, you go through times where you literally have nothing. You just sit there and you're like, gosh, we don't have a song, we don't have an idea, we don't have anything. We're just sitting here. And then there are times where you just get it flowing with and I've been lucky enough to witness it, you know, with friends and being around music for as long as I have. I don't know what it's like to write it, but I've seen that from an outside perspective, which is why I'm able to recognize that. But it's just cool when you have a group like that. And, you know, it's funny because Elisa she wouldn't, when we brought her on, she wouldn't really talk about how much of an influence she has in the writing. She kind of like downplayed that, but it's cool to hear you guys say what an influence she had on all of it, the music and everything. Cause, you know, she wanted to talk about her production and producing and, you know, that stuff that she just naturally is good at. But it's cool to hear you guys say that, cause we had a different perspective with her.
Man, she is a absolute monster. Like, you know, she is like a super talented multi-instrumentalist, and you know, she usually always has something ready, you know, track wise when we come in the room, and it's usually knocks it out of the park first try. So she you know, she's too humble, man. She really is amazing. Yeah.
Elisa's like a point guard that averages 15 points a game, but is on like $100 million contract because they're such good facilitators, right? Sure. Like, dude, you could have nothing. Like absolutely nothing, and then Elisa will just come up with this little loop that just is very inspiring, you know. And when she does throw lyric content out there, 40-footer just drains. Nice.
It's so good to hear, you know, because we've had other people who have worked with y'all, and everybody loves y'all so much, and it's cool to see the things that you guys say about those people, because they don't want to take any credit for the stuff that y'all did together. And you guys were like, no, like they're influential as hell on what we just did.
Every piece of, I mean, literally every smallest piece of what made this album come together is completely 150% important. I mean, you know, every songwriter, you know, even kudos to management, you know, for picking most cohesive songs that we had to offer. I would feel like they played a huge role in that, because there was other songs that we were considering, but they were a little bit out in left field just yet, for this part of our career. So everybody that played a role in this whole entire thing, man, I mean, we just can't thank them enough. It's awesome.
Adam can write as many sick guitar riffs as he wants. I can write as many cool lyrics as I want, but it doesn't matter if you don't have other people in the room to help with that process and inspire that process. Dude, you can be the most badass pitcher in the world. You can have a 105-mile-an-hour fastball, but if you don't have someone that shows you how to control it, you're screwed.
Like a lot of the melodies and stuff like that. Now that, like our boy Adam Craig, amazing at coming up at melodies and finding a way to tag out choruses and stuff like that. I mean, he's a pro, man. It's unbelievable. But so many other writers are like that too. Like, they're just amazing at melodies and other things. And sometimes they don't get enough credit for that, so we're proud to have the names that we do on the album,
Yeah, you brought up Adam Craig. Let's jump back to One of Us Had to Leave. I remember the first time that you sent this to us, you were like, hey, what? And I'm pretty sure it was that one and All Night Long. And Michael said, what would you guys say is the single? And I had already heard All Night Long. I dug it. And when you sent us One of Us Had to Leave, I think KJ and I's reaction was the same. We both were like, that's it. And the first thing that I thought was, this is a ballad. When Michael starts singing at the start of it, I was like, oh, this is a ballad. And then all of a sudden, you just get punched in the face. And I love it.
Yeah, it's a power ballad for sure, man. Like, I've always been a fan of those. Like, first of all, the song's in drop C, which is traditionally, a metal tuning. So it sounds already a little more darker and heavier. So, I've always been a fan of those like early to mid 2000s, like dark power ballad songs. And I feel like that is exactly that, just interpreted in a country music setting, so that let's appreciate you guys, man. That one, we were really proud too, lyrically, of that song as well.
And I feel like a lot of our songs are like this, but my favorite part about that song is how it builds. It's not like, I feel like there's a lot of songs these days where, once you get past the first chorus, you're like, yeah, I've basically heard the whole song,
right?
Right.
And that's just not true for our music. I mean, down to the last measure in the song, it just builds and builds and builds. And I think that gives you something to listen to, gives you something to make you want to listen to the whole song through. And that song is One of Us Had to Leave is a great example of that.
I remember. Oh, sorry.
Three of us
go.
at the same time. Go ahead, man.
There was a moment we were actually, I forget who we were showing everything to, but it was pretty early on, and somebody was like, hell yeah, you're bringing guitar solos back. And I was like, what do you like? And I guess I just didn't really even realize that a lot of modern music had kind of gotten away. They kind of snipped, all the extra kind of instrumental stuff off of, and that's just a pop music thing to do, but it was cool to hear somebody say something that to me felt so normal, but it was like felt brand new to them again. And like bridges are something that, we try to, when we do them, we want to do them really different and have somebody say, oh my God, this sounds like a Nickelback song, or this sounds like a, Hinder song, or whatever, like a rock bridge or something like that. And that's actually Sierra Round, not to jump back to that one, but like that was a moment in that room where we kind of all looked at each other and was like, okay, now it's a song. Like it's not just good lyrically anymore. The sonically, we're taking this in a whole new direction. So, but there again, to jump back to One of Us Had to Leave, and the melody thing, like the whole first verse, all those melodies, that was all our boy Ernest. And, he knocked that out of the park on the first day. And that one took us a couple rounds to get that song finished.
Also, can I just say that we wrote a song at Kid Rock's house with John Eddie, Jake Rose, and Kid Rock, and like,
of course, Jake Rose was involved.
Yeah, right. And after we wrote the song, and by the way, Kid Rock wasn't even supposed to be on it. He just came up and liked what we were doing, and ended up being there till 4 a.m. But
that's sweet.
dude, we like at the end of the write, he was like, yeah, like show me some music. And One of Us Had to Leave was the first song we showed him, and he absolutely hated it. Like so much.
I love that he told you that he hated it.
Us too. We're also those dudes. Like, just FYI, it doesn't matter. I don't care if we're the biggest names in country music tomorrow. Like, if your girlfriend dragged you to a show and you want to tell us that you hate our music at the meet and greet, like, I will shake your hand.
Yeah,
like, love that.
I think we find it more funny. We don't find any of that discouraging. Like, if anything, it's the other way around. When it actually comes down to it, it's cool to hear, a legend like give you the honest opinion. But like we find it really funny, and we'll still continue to try to grow it, and we enjoy what we do. But when somebody like rips it apart like that, that was actually kind of a funny moment. I think we all looked at each other and started laughing. Actually, it was like just one of those what the hell is going on right now kind of moments.
Did you change anything from what he said? Like, did you take any of his criticism and do something different with it, or was it done at that point?
Well, even if that would have been something, we couldn't have by that point because the masters were already pretty much done. So
yeah,
but that was just that was a cool moment either way. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It actually probably makes it cooler that he didn't like it. So
yeah. It's not really a kid rock song. I could see it.
Yeah, but he did give advice that we take with us to every right now.
That's awesome.
So.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
That's what that honesty is important. Like, we obviously love the shit out of everything you guys do because we think it's great and it's right up our alley. We don't feel that way about everybody, but I probably personally wouldn't rip apart somebody's music because I'm not a musician and I don't really think that's, my place. But I think that's cool as hell that he told you guys that he hated it. That's awesome.
Well, we appreciate the honesty because that's coming from a person that's not going to jump on a bandwagon of hating something just because everyone else does, and it's like we need more of those people, because it's so many acts and bands get some sort of a bad rep, and honestly, it follows them sometimes, just because bandwagon fans decide to hate it. So
also you say you don't give your input because you're not a musician, this and that, but there's a ton of value in your opinion because you're not a musician. You're a consumer. So if you ever want to rip apart a song, rip it apart, dude.
Well, I don't hate what you do. That's my point is I genuinely like all of it. If I like, people would probably say I'm just a bandwagon. You come on the podcast and I'm, telling you how great you are. That's because, in my opinion, like, my wife will tell you, like, I will be sitting there listening to something that you guys did, and I'm just like, this is freaking badass. I love this song, or this is because your genre of music is what I like. It's the style of music that I would listen to, and the quality is there, and the lyrics are so damn catchy. I catch myself singing your guys' songs all the time, just randomly. And, they're legitimately two records that I can't get out of my head. And it's Don't Give Away the Ending. And then it's Dangerous, like, I just can't, the stuff that Morgan Wallen put together is just, it's so damn catchy. And I wake up singing the songs. That's the truth. That's not me just, kissing your ass because you're on my podcast.
Oh, we appreciate that, dude. Like, that, even to hear those things is like still very surreal to us. So thank you, dude.
Yeah, that's, my fiance, her favorite song is One of Us Had to Leave. And when Michael started sending us stuff, I played her a few things and she's like, I like it. And she's a songwriter herself. And so she's like, I like it. It's good. It hasn't blown my socks off. But then when I played One of Us Had to Leave, she's like, will you restart that? And I played it again. And then the next day she texted me. She's like, will you send me that? And she was doing something and she came home and she was like, that's one of the best songs I've heard in a long time. She's like, it's so good.
Well, thank you, Brailey's wife. We appreciate that.
Yeah. And it's cool that in that song, you immediately get to see the jumping back and forth between the two of you, how you guys are 50-50, which I love too.
And, it's funny. You bring up a good point too. It's like, that's why I said from a songwriting perspective, that's probably our favorite on the record, because sometimes lyrically the songs aren't going to be anything to write home about, but they're enough of a vibe and instrumentally and sonically they're fun enough to listen to. So it's like sometimes that's what makes a song great too, you know, is melodies and the instrument parts. And so yeah, but we appreciate that.
Let's go to If We Ain't Us. When you guys sent the link to the EP, I just plugged my phone in my car and was driving and let it play straight through. And when it got to that was the first song that I had not heard that you guys hadn't sent to us. And it immediately caught me off guard. How did that whole process with Kobe Calais, you know, and it's an outside cut. So how did that whole process come about for you guys?
Yeah, dude. So one of our buddies, Heath Warren, he was a writer on All Night Long and If We Ain't Us. He sent our management like 30 demos one day, right? And our management, actually our manager, Chief, he picked that out and he was like, boys, this song is really good. You know, it sounds like a song of the year, A Star Is Born type of song, you know. And I listened to it, Adam listened to it as well, and it was just an acoustic work tape off a cell phone, right? That's all it was. And we could tell it was a good song, you know, but we didn't quite get it then. But also that's not me and Adam's lane, you know what I mean? Like, we're not ballad guys typically, you know. And then we went and recorded a demo of it, and Adam built out a track for it, and it was just like really beautiful, you know. And one day, I don't know, we just become really good friends with Colby, and we just got to thinking, you know, what if we had her on it? And then once we brought that up, management was like, oh yeah, that would be freaking killer. Like, she would be perfect for that. And one day I was over at her house and I just asked her, and she was like, absolutely. Like, I love that song. Love what you guys are doing. Would love to be a part of it. And so she did. And we went and recorded it, and it ended up being what it is. And by the way, she's like the best person that you could ever possibly imagine. Like, you could know Colby for a year and not know that she even played music, because she's that humble. You know what I mean? And she's, in my opinion, she is the best example of like a role model for any artist. Like, she is just such a freaking good person, man. And so we were blessed and honored to have her be a part of something on one of our records, especially starting out, dude. Like, she doesn't have to do that. You know what I mean? And she did, because she loves us as people, you know, and I think that speaks to who she is as a person as well.
Hit the nail on the head, man. She's you know, she's a very, very special person in our lives, man. You know, she became our friend, honestly, because of COVID, you know, everyone staying home and no one being on tour. And it just felt, you know, the song went through a couple different phases. Emily Wiseman actually did the demo vocal for that, and she hit it out of the friggin' park, you know, the day of the demo, because originally that song wasn't a duet, but it just lyrically it fit so well and it worked, you know, and it just felt meant to be, honestly. But you know, and eventually we were just like, man, Colby has become one of our best artist friends, and we just can't picture anybody else on this song. And you know, fortunately for us, she was excited about it and wanted to do it. So yeah, that's definitely a left field song for us too. It's funny that you guys bring it up. You know, it just felt so special that we couldn't not have something to do with it. And of course, you know, Heath is the one that sent it over, and he's one of our best friends as well. And you know, the writers just totally nailed that one. So we feel blessed to be able to cut it.
Michael, I just want to say that this was the track that this is why I said you got, your voice is killer, man. And I felt like you were good, but this song put you in like a whole nother atmosphere to me as a singer, as a vocalist. It really showcased your abilities to not just be a rock and roll singer, not just be a punk rock singer, not just be a country singer, like literally just be a great singer. And you just blew me away, because I did not this is one I did not expect from you.
I agree.
Not
That's
because
exactly
I didn't think
how it
it
was
was good enough. I just didn't know. I didn't know you had that in you. And it really like you guys complimented each other. I don't know if she pushed you to go harder or if your part was already recorded when she came in, but whatever you did there, it like just blew me away.
Yeah, thanks, boys. That was nice. This is honestly, you guys saying those things to us is really like the first like real in-person feedback we've got on it. So that's cool to hear. But dude, I grew up on like R&B and I love slower stuff. Like, I love all the John Mayer records and all those things. And I think when me and Adam are so used to making the style of music we make, when we do something like that, dude, it's important to kind of channel your inner, I don't know, John Mayer, I guess, if you will. And my vocal, we did have the vocal pre-recorded when Colby came in and did her vocal on it, but he's got a great ear, you know what I mean? And he was just like, dude, just retake the first verse and just try to be more, just sell it a little more, you know? And so, and it's interesting to hear those things from other people, because when you do it, when you're the one singing it, you don't really notice those things, man. It's like your voice sounds different to everyone else than it does to you, you know? Yeah. And so I did. And now when I listen to the two different versions back, I can totally hear it and understand it. But yeah, when he told me to retake the vocal, I'm very thankful that he did, because I think it fits the vibe a lot more. And I love doing that stuff, man. Like, contrary to popular belief, we like singing that kind of stuff.
Dude,
and Adam channeled his inner Gary LaVox.
Well, just to talk about Mikey real quick, because he's also too humble, man. Like his vocal versatility, that's something that is really fun to hear with you guys, because like not a lot of people have got to see like the cover show, what we did, prior to this. And like Mikey's one of those singers where he could like jump up on stage, rip a Louis Capaldi song, play John Mayer next, and then we go into the see-through version of Careless Whispers, and he just nails it as a rock vocalist. So it's like it's really cool to hear you guys say that, man.
But I think another thing that's like kind of important to know, and this song is a good example of this, is like on this record, me and Adam, we share vocals 50-50, and it's just come to the point where, when we're recording new songs and stuff, I pretty much sing the verses and a low harmony on the chorus, and Adam will sing the chorus. But the reason for that is you wouldn't get this from our talking voices, but we actually have like a similar vocal range, but much different textures to our voices. And because Adam's tone is like a little bit higher than mine, his even if it's right along the same vocal range, the tone of his voice will provide a natural lift for the chorus.
I love that. That's one thing that I love about the way that your guys' music is done. And I think we talked about that in the first episode about how, early FGL was really good, but FGL is primarily Tyler with BK singing at times. You guys, you can absolutely tell when Michael's singing and when Adam's singing. And that's what's really cool about what you guys do. And it is 50-50. And I love that you can start a song and it's Adam, and then all of a sudden you hear Michael pop in with something. And then you get to the chorus and it's Adam just belting it out. And then the verse again is Michael just kicking in. And that's what I really, really enjoy about this whole entire EP.
Yeah, dude, we actually, I remember nights driving back like in a rental car from an acoustic show, like 8 hours away. And we were talking, like, this was very early days. We might've wrote like 3 or 4 songs by the time this conversation happened, but it was like, we were like unsure if people were going to find it confusing or like, cause at that point in time, we really weren't that far ahead, like I said, in recording. So we didn't have a lot to go off of and a lot to show people, but like, I'm glad that you guys love the separation between the two vocal tones and that stuff. Cause we find that's actually pretty unique. Like you're saying, there's not really any duos that are 50-50.
You just have to be honest with yourself, man. Like if you think you're really good at everything, you're wrong. Right. Yeah. So I think if you're just honest with yourself and you recognize your strengths and the other person's strengths and play to them versus thinking that you're the shit, then it always turns out way better. Like we pretty much at this point know who sounds best doing what. Like no doubt about it. like one of us had to leave is a great example. Like Adam sounds way better singing the "Then No Name Street." He sounds way better singing the real singy stuff, and I sound better doing the "Ain't nothing changed but the weather, you and me." You know what I'm saying? So it's just, if you recognize that and you're honest with yourselves, I think it allows things to flow much easier. And don't get me wrong, dude, there's songs that we'll put out in the future that are recorded already where I sing the chorus and Adam does more verse stuff. It's just whatever the song calls for, man. You just got to be honest with yourself.
Yeah, we really look at each other's vocals like more of an instrument than anything. Like, you know, and it's certain instruments go in certain parts of a song, so it's very strategic sometimes, you know, and sometimes we re-record stuff, even go back, change a bridge or something like that, and say, oh, Mikey's vocal will fit better here or something like that. You know, it's really what the song calls for, like Mikey said.
I love that we've been able to deep dive into this. And I know that when you guys had texted us and said, hey, the EP's coming out on this day, don't say anything. And I had texted KJ and I said, I want to do a deep dive because episode 1 was so good. And it was so much fun to learn about you guys in a deeper way when we all didn't know each other. And now, you know, we've gone back and forth so much, you know, in the group text. And so I've been super happy that we've been able to kind of break down song by song. For the people who do listen to the whole record, you can listen to us talk about the song and then jump over and listen to the record and then jump back over and listen to the song, or jump back over and listen to us talk about it. And let's, you know, thank you guys for doing this for sure. I know we got one more, but thank you guys again for jumping on with us.
You always got a friend in us. I don't give it. Look, let me tell you something. It don't matter how cool you think you are, how busy you are. If you want to make time for certain people, you will, and we'll always make time for you guys.
Well, we appreciate that. Let's dive into the last one on the record, All Night Long. You know, the record, what I love about the EP, and I don't know if a lot of people think about this, but the way that it's sequenced, you know, it's party, and then you kind of get into the anthems, and then you get into If We Ain't Us, and you're like, oh, okay, this is how it's going to end. And then you go to All Night Long, and it's like that final song at a show that everybody's been waiting for the payoff. And that is what All Night Long is when you listen to it correctly in order.
Thank you, man. Yeah, that's funny that you're diving into the track order and the vibe of the whole flow of the record. You know, I came up with the initial track listing, and then Chief, actually, our manager, was like, hey, this looks awesome. I just have one note for you. And he's like, can we switch All Night Long and Ain't Doing Something Right? So originally I had Ain't Doing Something Right as the walkout track, you know, or walk-off track. And, but, you know, those songs, even though they're very similar, I think his note there was actually kind of genius because All Night Long feels like an insane album ender now that the whole thing is in that order and we've listened to everything cohesively, you know. There's
also like more to it than I guess anyone outside of our camp would know. It's just like with the title and stuff, you know, we plan to put another project out in the fall, and I kind of envisioned some cinematics with it, if you will. Like I kind of thought about this record as you know how Machine Gun Kelly did the Tickets to My Downfall short film, right? That's the name and track order and stuff has something to do with that as well. So, you know, we'll see where that goes on the next record. Yeah, and the keys of the songs flow together as well.
Yeah.
if you're gonna nerd out on any of that
for
stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, the keys flow together, and also just felt like I love, like, personally, I miss full albums. This is as close to a full album as I feel like an EP gets.
Yeah.
Just because it's a little longer than usual, but like I always geeked out on the fact that some albums would be like, it's almost like a movie, you know, there's, you know, the intro and then there's some sort of climax in the middle or it comes down in the middle sometimes. And then you go out with a bang. And so we felt like that's exactly what this record did. And All Night Long, actually that was another kind of two-dayer, I think. We were up at our buddy Jimmy's house in Kentucky riding four-wheelers that weekend, and we came up with the chorus lyrics and melody somewhat that day, and then we finished it with a great friend Heath Warren, and then he is just he's a melody and lyric guru. So yeah, we were in love with that song. That was one of the early ones too. That was one of the first 4 songs that we tracked ever. So. And it was almost a shit talking song. Like the original lyrics to that we came up with were like,
running up a tab, got a section in the back. Like, that's how it was.
I'm pretty sure that
man.
my neighbors are really tired of hearing After Midtown because I play it on Alexa in all my rooms. I just say play it everywhere. But this record, like Adam said, and like Michael, you said too, like you guys had a specific reasoning in mind, the way that the track listing flows. And I suggest that people go listen to it straight through, not on shuffle, because it feels different than if you just hit shuffle.
Oh yeah, dude, totally agree. Like we honestly, that's one of our goals. Like we miss albums, you know, and we feel like, you know, the singles are great. You know, I think we'll always put out singles and do this and that. But when you're gonna put out an album, put out an album. Don't do this thing where only 3 songs are decent or listenable. We don't really understand that, especially in Nashville. You have thousands of extremely talented songwriters and hundreds of thousands of songs floating around that someone would love to hear. And if you are an artist in this town, especially with people pitching you songs, and you cannot somehow make, you know, 4, 6, 12 songs on a record that are good, I don't understand that, you know? So like, we'll be damned if we ever put out some bullshit. Like if we're going to put out 6 songs, we're going to put out 6 songs that you can listen to, you know?
Yeah. And it's like, you know, I'm the type of music consumer. Like I would rather put an album on and listen to it from start to finish on like a road trip or something like that. You know, and see how everything works together. And I know that's such a musician thing to do probably, but like, but you know, hopefully there's a lot more people than we realize out there that appreciate something like that. So
dude, that's not just a musician thing. That's old school.
Yeah. I'm a big classic rock fan, and that's how it was back. You know, when you listen to a Leonard Skinner album or you listen to an Allman Brothers album, you could literally listen to the whole thing all the way through. And it's just so musical and talented. And, you know, just one note, Adam, you went back to like the early 2000s with some of your guitar stuff. But I go back to like even like the 80s, like GNR and just some of that old Motley Crue and those bands. Like you remind me of some of your guitar playing that way. And the albums that they had then too were, like you were saying, they were albums. They were start to finish. They had a theme or they had some type of vibe to them, and it was intentional.
Yeah. I honestly, that's funny you bring that up, the 80s thing, because like a lot of my influences come from that era. You know, like if I were to just pick, literally this is it, my guitar influences are like Steve Lukather from Toto, you know, obviously huge 80s band. Dimebag Darrell from Pantera, which is another one, and he kind of, you know, he caught the tail end of that with Cowboys from Hell. Was 87, I believe it was when it was released. So a lot of his guitar playing kind of was almost a new version of 80s guitar playing, and really that just stuck with me. And then also John Petrucci from Dream Theater, you know, he had a very lengthy career through the 80s and still going. Avenged Sevenfold as well, those guys, both of them. Sinister Gates, Brian, I believe is his real name.
Dude.
But all those influences, man, they shaped my guitar playing from the time I was 5 years old, from when I started. So yeah, appreciate that. Even
those have been Sevenfold records though. Like take City of Evil, for example. Like it's very theatrical. Yeah. That's why I'm a big My Chemical Romance fan. Like those records were written in a way to where you're supposed to listen to the entire thing to understand it. You know, like we kind of want to do the same thing. Like, you know, that movie Almost Famous.
Yep.
Where this is kind of cheesy, but like in the movie Almost Famous, when she's like getting ready to run away from home, she leaves that one record for her little brother. She's like, listen to this one and listen to it all the way through, and it'll set you free. Right. Yeah. We want somebody someday to look at our records like that.
I think I look back to, you know, being a kid and getting, you know, that first cassette of that first CD. And I remember, you know, my mom subscribing to Columbia House where you pay $1 to get 25 CDs. And the first record out of there that I didn't even know of that I put on was Matchbox 20, Yourself or Someone Like You. And that shaped me as like a musician and as a drummer. And as, you know, like that record, I immediately can go back to right now and go, I could probably play every guitar part and every drum part on this whole entire record.
Did you say cassette?
No, it was a CD. It was a CD. It wasn't a cassette. But yeah.
Okay, because I listened to cassette tapes, but you're not.
Oh, so did I. But that was the first one where I immediately can remember putting it on and going, okay, there's something different about the way I'm listening to this than the way I listen to, the radio or, any other cassette that was on.
For sure. Dude, Rob Thomas, unreal.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my favorite things about having like artist friends that have really done it all. Like Gavin DeGraw is one of those guys for us. Like we love Gavin and he's so good to us. And we love to pick those people's brains. I remember one time, like a few months ago, we were at Losers and I was like, Gavin, like, I feel like it was your era. I feel like you had to have run into him at some point. And one of my big musical influences is Rob Thomas, So I asked him like, yo, how is he? He's like, dude, unreal, and can tell you a bunch of stories and stuff. And I think that stuff's so cool, dude.
That's funny. Do you guys, what I love what you're saying, and maybe you can elaborate more, is you don't just meet people and just be like, oh, it's really cool, we drank beers with so and so. Like you try and take something from them to grow who you are as an artist. And I think that most people just want to meet cool people, and that's something that Brailey and I talk about all the time as far as like why we do this. And people make comments to us like, you guys get to do podcasts with famous people and cool people in Nashville, and it's so cool, cool people. And I'm like, yeah, but you're not listening to the conversations we have. It's important for us to take away from those conversations and be like, man, we just made a friend. We got to know somebody on a different level. So it's cool to hear you saying that you do that with the people that you surround yourself with. And
dude, yeah, I feel like we get really lucky with that stuff, honestly, because those folks are, we feel like a lot of those folks are people that most people would love to be friends with, you know what I mean? And we get the weird, not weird, but we are very fortunate to be at a time and place where we get to meet these people, you know what I mean? And honestly, a lot of it's just mad organic, just a friend of a friend, and we happen to be out at the bar that night. But I think that there's just a certain respect among musicians, because at the end of the day, I'm a strong believer in, if you dropped 100,000 people off in a middle of nowhere, the musicians would find each other first. I just believe that, and a lot of these people, I think, have respect for us the same way that we respect them. And a lot of these people that we're friends with paved the way for us and allowed music to progress and genres to bend even more. So I think we would be absolutely stupid to not take notes and pointers from these folks. I don't care what country artist you are in the last 20 years. If you think that you are as good of an artist as Gavin DeGraw, you're wrong. You're wrong. That dude can be blackout drunk and sing like a bird. But like a lot of
you ain't got that One Tree Hill money.
No doubt about it, dude. But also, like, those guys have been there and done that. Dude, we haven't even went on our first real tour yet. So to sit down around the fire at Colby's house and listen to Colby and Gavin talk about tours, I feel like even though they're just stories, there's a lot that we take away from that stuff, man, because there's a lot of mistakes that you can make along this process. And if we can take things from other people and experiences that allow us to not make some of those mistakes, then hey, we're more than open to it. And also, our music is a little genre bending, and we love to take influence from people like that, because dude, they're like those vocal melodies that people don't do anymore. And I mean, dude, Brailey, you were talking about how much you love Matchbox 20. Like, dude, I think a lot of songs that they came out with could be country songs today. Take Bright Lights, for example. And baby, 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 when all your love is gone. Like that could be a country song today.
How many country artists cover 3 a.m. in their live show? I mean, it feels like it's almost every show I go to, somebody's covering something like that,
Yeah. But we feel like there's not enough people that take it a step further than that. Covering the songs is dope, and having respect for the songs is really sick. But dude, if you have a chance to sit in a room with these people and pick their brains, why not take it a step further, man? It's like that in any occupation. If you got a chance to sit down with Babe Ruth one day and as a baseball player, I'm sure you'd listen to him, and we see a lot of those people we see like that.
Man, I don't think that anybody could have said it any better way than that. And, we thank you guys for, and I know I've said this a couple of times, we thank you guys for coming on and doing this with us. And it's been fun to get to know y'all. And if people are wanting to get to know you guys, definitely jump back and listen to episode 5 with Adam and Michael from After Midtown, because we dive deeper into, the influences and your guys' upbringing, how you guys got together, and then come back and listen to this episode. And, you guys will really start to hear, what After Midtown really is. And definitely go buy the record. Like, please go to iTunes, buy it, stream it, but go buy it, because getting paid on streaming sucks.
But I also want to say, like, this isn't fake, you guys aren't putting on a show to do a podcast so that people like you. Like, this is how you treat us all the time when we text you, when we're conversating, when we're doing things. You said that to us in the first one, like, you're the realest dudes in Nashville. And I would say of all the people I met, you are the realest dudes in Nashville, and your music speaks for that. And I'll support you forever because of that. So right on, boys.
Thank you, bro.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Yeah.
We can't wait for the podcast to blow up either, because you guys are damn good at this. You guys are like really good interviewers.
Well, thank you.
I just follow. I ride Brailey's coattails, man. Like, he's so good at it, man. And I always wanted to be on air, and that's why I got into the industry, but I ended up being a graphic designer instead. And so, for me, this is a dream come true for me to do this podcast, because no one gave me an opportunity to be on air. So Brailey and I created an opportunity for me to do this. And Brailey is on air and he's damn good at it. And, so for me to be able to jump on this, I'm grateful. So I will always show that to the artists that come on and support us. So thank you.
Well, we hope we can all continue to grow together, and hopefully, 25 years from now, we're still friends and we're still doing podcasts. So, man, thank you so much for having us today, dude.
Absolutely. And next time y'all come to Nashville, bring a camera, and we'll take y'all to some rights and some cool spots, and we'll do some day in the life shit.
There could be some exclusive hook content, man. That might be an idea right there, Mikey.
KJ's never actually even been to Nashville, so for him, it's gonna be a whole new world. He doesn't know what's gonna happen to his liver.
Hey. I could drink whiskey, boys.
Between y'all and Hunter Phelps and Jake Rose, like.
Hey, KJ, I only drink whiskey with my friends, so come on down, man.
Hell yeah.
And I don't drink whiskey at all, so it don't matter.
You will.
Oh, man. Well, thank you guys so much. It's been fun, and we appreciate y'all so much, and we're so excited for you guys and to see what happens with the EP and what happens next. And, we love hearing the songs that you guys send over. And if people are sleeping on y'all, jump on the train now, because it's about to leave the station. It's about to take off real quick for you guys.
Thank you, bro.
Thanks, man.